so our next example is a fourth root. So the fourth root of 16. In other words, what number, look at your roots you're supposed to memorize. What number written out 4 times is going to give you 16? 2. Okay. Or you can write it like this. You can think about it this way. 2 to the 4th power. Isn't that the same thing as 16? Right? And what happens to the 4s? They're going to cancel. They undo each other. Right? So it's kind of like if I told you 2 squared, what's the square root of 2 squared? It's 2. Okay? So this is the same thing. They undo each other, so the answer is just 2. Number 5. Next example. The cube root of negative 64. Can you take a cube root of a negative? Absolutely. Yeah, you can't take the square root of a negative, right? Because you're only writing it out twice. But the cube root, absolutely. Okay, so I want to rewrite 64 with a cube. What number cubed is 64? 4. And you guys probably know this in your head. I'm making you write it out right now for a reason. But this is the same as negative 4 cubed, correct? So the 3's cancel. Now, you got to be careful. Am I allowed to do this? This isn't even, is it? It's the even that runs into problems. Okay? So this is safe. So they cancel, and you just end up with negative 4. And it makes sense because negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 is negative 64. The square root of 0.25. In my opinion, when you have decimals, I see them better as a fraction. You guys can do whatever you want, but this is the same thing as the square root of what number? 1/4. Okay, I see it better like that, but however you want to do it is fine. And one thing you need to note is that when you square fractions, what happens? When you multiply fractions together, do they get bigger or smaller? Smaller. Right. Multiplying fractions means you're taking a part of a part, right? Okay, so for example, if I have 1/3 times 1/2, oh, half of a third, which is 1/6. They get smaller and smaller, don't they? Okay, so when you're looking for a square root of 1/4, you need to be thinking smaller, right? It ends up smaller. So the number you're looking for has to be bigger. You're multiplying 2 bigger numbers together to get this little number. Okay? Or if you see it in your head, what number times what number it's going to give you 4. Oh, you already see it, yeah. Okay, just think about the denominator. What times what is 4? 2. It's easier to me to see in a fraction form than a decimal form, but you can do it either way you want. Right? So what do you think the square root of 1/4 is? It's 1/2 times 1/2, okay, which would be this shouldn't be here, sorry. So you get 0.5 or 1/2. I would take either one. Great. Here's another one. Notice here, this one's kind of a special case, right? I wrote a positive answer, correct? This is where you would say an even and an even. 2 divided by 2 gave me 0.5 to the 1st power. Right? But I just went, it was already positive, so I left it alone. That still is a special case. Right. And this one. This is where kids mess up. You put a star by it if you want. Kids want to cancel the 4s and say the answer is -2. But when you raise -2 to the 4th power, what's it going to turn? It's going to turn even, isn't it? Okay? It's going to turn positive. Right? So an even on the inside and an even on the outside means your answer has to be positive. So the answer is actually the absolute value of -2, or in other words, just 2. You have to write 2 as the answer. If you're not sure, you can write yourself a little note. Think about the fact that this would be 16. And and the fourth root of 16 is 2. Because negative 2 to the fourth power is a positive 16. Okay, moving on. How about the square root of 49x to the 8th? What's the square root of 49? 7. Okay. And there's imaginary 2 here, so we're going to say 7. And what number is here? 2, so 8 divided by 2 is 4. Right? So if you check here, even, I'm okay. Right? Because 8 divided by 2 is 4. It's when you get an odd out here you have to be careful. What's the fifth root of 32? What? It's 2, right? 2 to the fifth power is 32.
What?
Right? So, and if you need to rewrite that, you can. 2 to the fifth power, x to the 10th, y to the 15th. You don't have to do that, but if you notice it. Which means the answer is 2, x to the what? 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay, even. And then 15 divided by 5 is 3. How about the cube root of negative 8 b to the 6th c cubed? Are you allowed to take the cube root of a negative 8? What's it going to give you? Negative 2. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2, so b squared. And 3 divided by 3 is 1, so you get c. So we put a star by. Kids have trouble with this one too. On the square root of, in parentheses, 3x to the fourth power. 2 ways of doing this. Okay, you have math involved here, right, because of the monomial inside. So you can either do the math inside, right, and rewrite it as 81x to the fourth, right, I just applied it to both, and then do the problem. Or you can think about the fact that there's a 2 there. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So you get 3x squared. Okay, and 3x squared is 9x squared. Or okay, let me explain that one more time in case you missed it. So you can do it this way and realize that 4 divided by 2 is 2, correct? So now you have 3x squared. You're not going to leave it like that, so you end up with 9x squared. Or you can do the math inside first, giving you 3 to the fourth power is 81, x to the fourth power is x to the fourth, and now take the square root. So the square root of 81 would be 9. There's a 2 here. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Notice it's the same answer either way. What happens with the 2's? They're going to just do what? What are they going to do? Cancel. And then you're going to have the habit of wanting to just write x plus 2, correct? But what do we know? That if there's a 2 and 2, they're both even. And when you divide, you get a 1, right? So what do I have to say about that answer, actually? It has to be what? Positive. That one gets a star. We just have to let them know that that has to be positive. Because, hey, go back and look why. Look at this for a second. If you do the math inside here, and I put a negative 3, and negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. But what are we going to do with the negative 1? Square it. It's going to turn positive, isn't it? So that's the reason that you have to say it's got to be a positive answer. here, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So you got an even, so you're fine. So that means you have 2x minus 7 squared. You can FOIL that out if you want. Which will give you 2x squared minus 28x plus 49. Or you could leave it. I'll take either answer. Remember, when you square this out, though, you don't just write 4x squared and 49, right? You have to FOIL it. This really means 2x minus 7 times 2x minus 7. We learned that in the last test. Yes?
Did you do the math, like squaring it, and then do it?
I know, sure, Mom. No, because they cancel each other, and it just drops it down. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, the 5s drop each other and cancel, correct? Do I need to have a positive answer here? No, the rule is if this is even, and it gives you an odd answer. Well, they're odd, so it doesn't matter. The answer is negative 3x minus 4, y. Or I'll take negative 3x plus 4y, which is the better answer. It's cleaner. Okay, the last one we're going to do, and it gets a star again, because it's kind of tricky. Put a negative on the outside. And you're going to ask for x squared plus 10x plus 25. Does anybody know what this factors to? That's why this one works. What does it factor to? X what? X plus 5 times x plus 5, isn't it? Which is x plus 5 squared. Right? But again, you have to be careful because this is a 2 and there's an imaginary 2 here. So the answer is a negative on the outside. But what is this answer going to be? Positive. So that's how you write this one. Kind of weird. We know that what's the answer to what's in here has to be positive, so there's my positive. And then apply the negative to in front. Okay, y'all are finished. I'm going to pass up your homework and you can get started.